Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Business, and it's time to cover the Tier 9 Pan-European destroyer, the Friesland. This is a fascinating little ship, and it's a premium slash freemium since you can get it for free XP, or you can spend $77, but I think you know which one I'm going to suggest. So we'll get to that the discussion later on, of course. I mean, only briefly, but I think this is one of the most interesting ships and possibly the most balanced ship they've released this year. I think there's a lot of different ways to set this up, and I don't really think that anybody that I've seen has it really set up the same way. And certainly not the same way as I do, which is good. That's a great thing, and which is actually probably all the more surprising considering that this doesn't have torpedoes. So if you don't know about the ship, I don't know where you've been, but if you don't know about the ship, it's just two turrets and 2x2 guns, and that's it. They got a crazy rate of fire, but I have this set up, at least currently, as an absolute shutdown against enemy carriers, and it's, let me just be straight up with you, it's fucking hilarious. So, and it's about damn time. So the smoke lasts a while, which is good. I do run the hydro mod on this as well to give me a little bit more chance to kind of get into positions where I can use it to illuminate ships that are in smoke, or whatever the hell, if I need to use it to spot a bunch of torps for my allies who are possibly vulnerable, then yeah, get to do that. The defensive fire is 300%, so it is very, very, very strong, and at least against the aircraft. And I'll show you some examples of that. Of course, the armor is exactly what you expect, 19 millimeters everywhere. The health is definitely a commodity which you have to be careful with, more so with this than any other gunboat in the game. This is a ship that is just not capable of doing multiple gunfights and coming out on top. I mean, that 20,700 health is with Survivability Expert. And of course, the base reload is 1.8 seconds. With some modifications and whatnot, it's going to go a little better than that. The shell velocity is respectable, so on and so forth. They're destroyer guns. There's not too much to really slip by you on this. It's just, it's straightforward. The fire chance is actually pretty damn good for what it is, and the AA defense, of course, is monstrous. 2,500 in the flak explosions, and you get to throw out a few of those. I know a lot of people have been freaking out about the detectability of the ship at 6.4 when you're running full concealment, and I don't see why. If it were any less than this, if it were 6.1, 5.8, 5.6 or something like that, this would be so ball-bustingly broken. We'd be able to call it the Smolensk. I just don't know what else to say to people on that. It can't do any better in certain areas because it's already at that limit, and there's just nothing to really give there. So I did kind of forget to put that other flag on for the fire, so whoops. But anyways, this is my current captain build. I would actually kind of argue that Adrenaline Rush is kind of two sides on this, where by default, if you have no modifications whatsoever, you're able to pump out, I think it's 33 rounds a minute, right? 33.3 repeating, something like that. If you are taking Adrenaline Rush, BFT, main battery, mod 3, you go down to 10% on Adrenaline Rush, you're going to be at a 1.2 second reload, which is 50 salvos in a minute. That is crazy. So if you get rid of main battery mod 3 and you're still at that, you're just sitting at 1.3 seconds reload, which is 46 salvos a minute. That's pretty damn good, and that's why I'm not taking main battery mod 3 for this, because diminishing returns. Adrenaline Rush will do it for me. I don't need to stack that at all. I just don't think it's enough of a difference. But what I do like stacking is the AA, because holy shit, this thing, like with all the AA changes this year, my god, look at that, 11,902 damage. Holy shit. That is absolutely insane. And just like, I'm not even trying to maneuver here. This is actually my first playtest in, well, not playtest, but my first actual game in the Friesland on the live server after, you know, the testing is all through and everything. And like this just blew me away. Like I knew it had the potential to, you know, really blast the hell out of carriers, but usually I'm not in the situation where the carrier has to come after me, and so I didn't really get that experience in testing. But in the live server, wow, well, in the live situation here, once this came around, that wasn't the case. They keep coming after me. So as you can see, we have the best side of the Enterprise here to use our AP on, and this rate of fire is just fucking nuts. The AA is nuts, the rate of fire is nuts, and it's taken a while, but we're finally working our way here to whittling the Enterprise down and finally finishing him off. And also his planes too. So take a little bit more damage there, actually quite a bit of damage. So my defensive fire was down, of course, and he was able to kind of squeeze in over the mountains, and actually I couldn't even tell if my AA was actually on or not, but we just blasted the shit out of that guy and lost, you know, 33% of our health while taking down his planes and his ship. So the big thing about the AA is just positioning yourself to help your teammates, because this actually has decent enough range. It has immense amount of instant firepower, especially when you're combining, you know, the new priority sector with defensive fire and stuff. I mean, these planes just drop out of the damn sky like nothing, sometimes at least, and I still got a few clips of that. But I know the big thing about this ship is that a lot of people just don't think it's a destroyer hunter, and it's really just so specific to the situation, just like everything else in this game. There are plenty of scenarios where I've been able to get into a spot where a destroyer is just absolutely screwed because I'm there and I'm hydroing him, and again, we've got clips of that coming up. But the big thing about this ship, and I cannot stress this enough, the most vulnerable aspect to the ship is time. You need time to be able to do anything with this ship because you do not have any type of alpha response. And if it's a light-skinned cruiser, like say a Minotaur or you know, a Smolensk, yes, you can definitely do some serious work with your AP. I have not been lucky enough to get that sort of situation to happen. I've had a Buffalo at 2 kilometers away, and I somehow wasn't able to penetrate his side, or citadel, I should say. And for those of you who are wondering, according to Wow's Fitting Tool and the artillery chart there, it's about 6 kilometers is when the drop-off happens, where you are now, like, you're under 100 millimeters of AP shell pen. That's a critical number to remember, of course, because if you're not within that range there, you have no reason whatsoever to use your AP against a broadside cruiser. So, I mean, you do and you don't. It just depends. If, you know, the HE is going to most likely be more effective, but you could still get decent results, especially if you know that they, you know, any ship has used its damage control party, that sort of thing. The AP is just, it's a little bit more situational than I care to admit. So, because I want to use AP a lot more, I just haven't had really a lot of results with this that would indicate that AP is something I can use more frequently. Now, again, there will be situations, especially against battleships. I have better results against battleships than I do against anything else with the AP, or as we saw earlier in the clip, or the video, sorry, against the side of the Enterprise. We were able to start racking up 2,000 damage salvos, and when you're doing that every second and a half, that's an amazing amount of damage potential in just 10, 15, 20 seconds of firing. So, and again, you saw the positioning there, trying to help my teammate there in the vacuum, trying to make sure that he doesn't get taken out by the enemy planes and bombers and all that stuff. So in the Division, this thing is fucking disgusting. It is, oof, man, just being able to focus the same targets, just dropping those shells every second and a half against the same target is amazing. And granted, we've already seen all this before with the Kitakaze, the Akazuki, Harugumo, so on and so forth, all the rapid fire ships. None of this is actually new, of course, but the package in which it comes with is. And I think that IFHE, for instance, I know a lot of people like to run that. I don't. I like to focus on the AA. I like to focus on that sort of thing because I just really don't think Demolition Expert yields enough. I don't think IFHE yields enough. Those two skills, I'm kind of just on the fence about using them with this ship because there are really only a couple situations where it's actually beneficial to use IFHE. It's against specific targets, and I don't think that's enough to warrant 4 points. And I'd rather, again, over buff my AA because it's not just about planes. Like, you don't have to justify AA builds in only carrier matches. So all the float planes, all that type of stuff, they're gonna spot you, and every second those goddamn things are up and spotting you is a second that somebody has to draw their turrets onto you and take a shot, and then possibly wipe you out. So you cannot afford that. So it's better, in my opinion, and I just think in my experience, that you focus on the AA in order to make sure that you're never spotted by air for more than a split second, because at least you have the option to get rid of that as fast as possible with defensive fire and the AA stuff. So I was really hoping to have some time here to work against this Musashi because, again, I can rack up some really nice damage totals here with the AP and pen his bow. So if it's a side shot, though, it's the same thing as a Minotaur, that sort of thing. If you can get the side of a ship, anything throwing AP is going to do damage, and it's going to do damage pretty quickly. So, geez, the amount of times I've had 7, 8, 9, 10,000 damage salvos against the broadside of a battleship with a Minotaur is nuts, and a destroyer can do the same damn thing. And not the same total, but over time it's going to be pretty damn effective. So, and again, we're going to see that here, and we've got Nethercat still next to me here. Now he's dumping shells into him, and this guy's just evaporating in front of us. And it's a hell of a feeling when you get the chance to do this, of course, where you just focus the same target and you just tear them apart. And the thing is, in order to do that, you're giving up, again, Alpha Strike. You're giving up the chance to nuke somebody, and that's where it becomes really weak late game, but very, very influential in the beginning of the game, because nobody wants to get in a fight against one of these. But if you can take off half the health of this ship early on, then your team is going to be in a much better position to take it out at some point later in the game, assuming it survives. And the thing about the Friesland is that it has to give up something in order to start engaging somebody. It's always going to give up that position where either A, it's behind an island, or B, it's in smoke. Or, of course, there's always the other option, the more suicidal option of being out in the open water, which, if you're lucky, very, very lucky, of course that can work. But as you saw there, working with the Venom, that Friesland got kind of pinned down into a bad spot. If you can work with another destroyer, especially another destroyer, you can make this thing just an absolute nightmare to play against. And fuck man, I think it's so awesome when you do get that combination of working together and just that focus fire on a given target. And the other thing is, you're going to see this in the upcoming Smolensk video too. I highly recommend, and you see me do this with the Minotaur as well, just firing into the damn smoke. You're going to hit people because you can adjust so rapidly, you can fire so rapidly. It's just a super easy ship to end up engaging somebody in the smoke and push them out of it, even though you're nowhere near it. But one of the main things about this sort of ship, though, is that you're able to push smoke as well. You just have to choose the right moment. I've got a clip of that coming up, I promise. So, anyways, I'm backing up here. Finally popped my smoke. I was really slow on the draw in this match for some reason. I'm not really sure why, but I don't know. I sometimes watching these clips after the fact, I'm like, what the hell am I waiting for? or like where am I shooting, or that sort of thing. I have no idea what type of frame of mind I'm in, even though this is only like a day or two old. But eventually, we're gonna start getting a few more hits, and I do actually get a lot of kills like that with this ship too, which is funny. Like after they go dark, just keep spamming, and eventually they get some killed. And again, really slow on the draw here, and my aim is all over the place. The last thing I want to do is fight Nasashio squared up. I just do not want his guns involved in this fight, because the Asashio hits a hell of a lot harder than people give me credit for. So thankfully he's down. Now watch this. We're gonna pop our defensive fire. We've got our priority sector up. Bye bye. God, that's a beautiful sight. So here's a situation that I absolutely would not want to find myself in, of course, and that's fighting against a black, and he's got backup, and this actually ends up being one of the most ridiculous matches I've played in recent memory. You'll see why, but so he used this radar. It's a short range radar, but it's a very potent one because, I mean, obviously he can sit and smoke, that sort of thing. It gives him a lot of options in terms of how to engage another player, and in this situation, I know there's probably something else out here, but for now it's not in my my range here. And at this point, I'm not actually running AFT. I think I am running IFHE, if I'm not mistaken. So anyhow, so the black is somewhere over on the left, but there's an Akazuki up here that I'm going after because he pops smoke and he's firing upon my guys that are just off to my right. So I'm moving in, getting a bit closer. Pop my smoke and my hydro. Gonna wait till the smoke envelops me. Watch the minimap. Boom. There we go. Now we're good. And we're gonna tear this guy apart. So you think a Nakazuki's a good little gunboat? It is, but it's not the Friesland. And that's not to say that I would want to get in a fight against one and make it fair. No, I absolutely do not want to. But the Friesland's just a different package. So now we find the black over here, and around this time is actually when he should have his radar back up and running. So my guess is either he may have used it by accident earlier, or he's not running premium consumables and is still on a cooldown for that. But either way, he's knocked out, and again, we're in a good position to just keep the turrets glowing here and melt the barrels. But eventually this Leon goes down and switch targets right over to the Helena over here, throwing some AP. Again, I'm testing out all sorts of shit all the time, and I don't really... I like seeing what these little shells can do sometimes, and especially after you set a fire or two on the target, just switch over to AP and start buzzsawing them, because sometimes it just works better that way, where you're able to get the dot damage from the fires, but you're able to stack the AP on there as well, because HE does have diminishing returns as well. So I call out that I'm going to go after this Kagero, and sure enough, spot his torps, and we got our JB over here to the right. Obviously this match is completely just, it's a foregone conclusion. We've lost this. So the JB and I are going back to the cap. I'm like calling out against this Helen over here, and oh well, he's dead, so cool. That helped out a lot. And now it's time to start the reset train. Get yourselves ready for the totals here, because it's this is so fucking stupid. So I get the reset there, so I don't need to shoot at him any longer. Gonna go ahead and focus the Soyuz, because that's the main issue here against the JB, although really it's the Mogami. The Soyuz is gonna get knocked out at some point anyways from fires or whatever. He's low health. I don't know if our JB was focusing at any point on the Mogami, but I definitely would have suggested prioritizing the target there against the Mogami instead of the Soyuz, but who knows what was happening there. Either way, I'm getting hunted down here. I go ahead and reset the KGV again, because reset cap points, man. That shit's worth a lot of base XP. So we got the Mogami trying to come in here and hunt me down. I did have a situation earlier against the Mogami where I know he has hydro. I know he's not running defensive fire, so I do not want to get too close to him. because it's gonna be a bad day for me, obviously. So set some more fires on there, and we run out of our smoke because I know the torps are coming. It's time to see if I can get more reset going on here and dodge most of the shells that come in there, luckily. And yep, now it's just a game of, am I going to be able to dodge this shit, or am I just going to get wrecked? So we get high caliber, we've already got Confederate and Kraken, set some more fires. Luckily get out of the way of the Leon shells, and that's pure dumb luck. I can't try to dodge his shells and the Mogami and the KGVs at the same time, especially at these slightly, well, they're not slightly different angles, they are different angles. So yep, just doing my thing here, trying to stay in this match a little bit longer and do as much as I can and piss these guys off. So this is so stupid, but I'm not gonna lie, this is honestly, I mean, you could call it trolling, you can call it whatever the hell you want. I'm entertained. The stream was entertained while this was going on. I'm actually enjoying myself here, and I'm trying to just do what I can because I don't have any other option other than just being like, okay, well, time to throw my ship away. And I'm not ready to do that yet. I'm just not ready. I've survived to this point. I'm doing what I can, and I'm putting on the show. So, and at this point, I'm like, okay, there's no way I'm not going to get nuked here. And I really thought that was going to kill me. Holy shit. So, managed to get the Mogami. We take a shot in the butt from the KGB, which is just no good because that HE is just nasty. The Leon's still pumping away at us, and as the match expires, we got another fire there on the KGB, and that's our match. So this is so stupid. Oh my god. Check out this base XP. 1800 on a loss, and yeah. Man, it's so easy to lose track of things and not talk about the things I really should be talking about. So let me just say, go for free XP on this. I personally don't think that anything is worth $77 in this game, or any other game for that matter, but that's entirely up to you. I think this is a great thing for it to be free XP. It's only 1 million free XP, and every game you're playing is gaining free XP. So as far as the ship itself is concerned, you've got a bunch of weaknesses, and that's what's so compelling with the ship, because you need time to work against enemies, you need positions to work against enemies, and you need to exploit all of that all the time because it requires so much out of the player. This is possibly the highest skill floor ship I've ever played in this game. It demands everything from you: spatial awareness, the ability to be in a position to help your teammates, because they have to help you, because you have no way of helping anybody at the end of the game when there's a 60,000 health ship that needs to get taken down, but you've only got 2 minutes left. You lose that game. You lose the game when you get pushed out of a cap by a Harugumo that has 25,000 health while you're at half health. You can't fight that and win at all. There's just so many situations where you have to think ahead, and you have to be in positions to help and be helped. It's a fascinating ship, and I think something that requires this much of the player is a breath of fresh air, and it's a fucking relief that ships like this can actually be brought into the game these days. So honestly, I love this thing. I think it's awesome, and possibly the best ship that they've released. Well, easily the best ship this year. So anyways, thank you for watching today, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you back here next time. Take care, everybody.